Hey guys, Avar here. This might look bad, but I survived with 7 kills, which is hilarious considering I should have been dead 2 minutes ago. So, the ME-410s get overlooked these days. Possessing an air spawn, a boatload of guns, and now a fairly low BR, the A-1 model is one of my favorites. Sure, it has mediocre performance, but it does have a hidden sting that enemy pilots never see coming, which I'll show you in this dogfight with the Firefly. If you've watched bomber gun shipping videos, you know where this is going. The 410's dual 13mm gunners have excellent firing arcs, so while I may have bad turn rate in the long run, I don't need to point my nose on target to get the kill, and you'll see that in a moment. So I shoot in the head-on, mostly dodge his guns, and the dogfight begins. He takes the theoretically correct option and turns the same direction that I'm going, beginning a rate fight, which I will certainly lose. The Firefly easily converts speed into turn rate, so he gets his nose on almost instantly, and I'm going to take another critical hit. However, I'm able to pull him vertical, and I'm going to switch to the gunner view and pop a 13mm right into his cockpit. Goodbye, Mr. Firefly, and hello, kill number 7. Now, since the rest of the match was fairly interesting, I'll put it up at the end, but for now I have another 7-kill game, as well as a 9-kill game to explain how I did surprisingly well on this thing. When you're carrying with a bad plane, you have to use every advantage you have, and quickly, before the enemy realizes how to exploit your poor performance. So, during the early game with the 410, I side climb, and then I turn back towards the enemy team as I get closer, coming in from an odd angle and catching people off guard, just like this Key 44. He's going to wake up too late, and I'm going to manage to take him out. But Avar, you say, I've watched your B&Z guide, and you said attacking the guy in the front of the pack is a tactical error because it lets people get on your 6 for free. Well, calm down, because this is a special situation. The Key 44-2 has insane flight performance for 3.7. It has all-around excellent performance with a side of good guns, and it's often flown by SEAL clubbers who know what they're doing. In short, is the exact opposite of the ME-410, which is a flying brick flown by me and my clueless self. Because I have more energy, I felt confident taking on the 44, and going on to use energy traps against the rest of the enemy team who are still below me for the moment. The issue is, the 410 is different from the other planes I've showcased on this channel, so as we take out the Key 44, the Key 61 who presented to me, the situation for me is getting worse and worse. There's 2 squatted Spitfires incoming, and the 410 has a mediocre power-to-weight ratio, and again, a mediocre top speed. So rather than generating an energy advantage over the enemy during the engagement, I'm losing ground with every passing second. So that means I have to make quick decisions and take them out fast, because the longer I wait, the worse my situation becomes. And along with these Spitfires, there's going to be a 4th party who will enter soon. I watched the distance indicator to check their speed. They were cutting me off, but even then I was briefly gaining distance. So I knew I had a big advantage over these guys, and judging from how they're pulling into me hard, I'm guessing they'll fall for an energy trap. The problem is the enemy wrench thrown into the works, the BF-109 incoming. I know it's an E7 because it's Japanese, and I also know I can't win a 3v1. So I'm going to get on the Spitfire in the back and blow him to smithereens. Down he goes, 2nd guy comes in, pulls behind me, and in a moment I switch to the gunner mode to fire a few pot shots. The aim is not to connect these rounds, it's to make the enemy scared. As I said earlier, the 410 is a slow airplane, even at 3.3 BR. It does about 520 on the deck. It's not much faster above that altitude, and it has very draggy radiators, meaning that as I fight the overheating with mech, I'm losing as much as 20 kph of top speed, and I'll still be in the red sooner or later. Spraying these 13mm is made to make the enemy dodge, which will slow them down and keep them off me for longer. So I check the stats. I see that the guy's not bad, and I see that if I do nothing, the 109 will run me down, and the Spitfire will finish the job. And pro tip, when you kill one member of an enemy squad and the others are still alive, they're going to have a grudge, and that's why I obsessively check the team list sometimes. And this 109 now decides he's going to use a shallow dive to pick up speed below me, which tells me he's a knower. In this situation, I believe that's called a low yo-yo, and it's a move that works great for evading the tail gunners on most heavy fighters, even though the 410s have good firing arcs like so. I don't have faith in my aim to kill him from this range. All I want to do is kind of put the pressure on in his brain, make him cook, make him a little bit nervous, and if he gets stressed, his aim will hopefully become worse. He's breaking away there, he's having second thoughts, and the plan was at least partially working. However, I knew my energy parity wasn't going to last forever, so I decided to use it right then and there, and I'm going to pitch into a vertical spiral. I don't have the energy to trap him. That's not the purpose of what I'm doing. What I can do is bring both these guys slow, just like that Firefly, and it's going to make them easier targets for my manual gunner. The Spitfire came in, he missed a shot, and I landed a few hits on him, and then the 109 begins chewing me up, and I have to focus on that instead. And you can see the instant that I blow his engine out. Glycol sprays everywhere. Worse than that time I accidentally disconnect the radiator hose on a semi-truck, real story, and he pitches up, or rather down, instantly. I'm also damaged, but the ME-410 is a flying tank. It can fly home on one engine if need be, so I'm sticking out this gunfight till the end. Now once the Spitfire decides he's had enough and walks the plank, the fight is basically over, because the 109 is hurting and he only has MGs left against a plane with nearly as much armor as an IL-2. This plane was designed to intercept B-17s. It takes quite the beating. So I'm going to drop the throttles back, cool off the engines, and switch back to normal view. The way I fly this thing in gunner mode is I switch controls to simplified, which means my plane will no longer snap back to the mouse cursor when I stop holding the keys. And that means with a bit of practice you can dogfight the enemy while you're still shooting at them. And this has saved my life more times than I can count. So meanwhile, the 109 is going to make a run for his base, but I'm too close on him. I have too much speed, and with the stealth belts I'm running, he can't really tell where I'm aiming and how to dodge. So that's kill number 5 on only fighters, and then an enemy Tempest and a DB3 are going to come in, and I'm going to finish them off real quick to make a 7-kill game. So here is the 9-kill match that I promised. Again, I'm coming in from the side, and I will be picking my targets. If you destroy the right threats in the right order, the enemy team will fall like dominoes. The problem is, my team are currently falling like dominoes. They're losing at low altitude, which means I'm most likely going to have to carry, and I'm going to try and plan out my positioning from there. While the Sakine and the Yak-9 are behind the J-26, they're moving around. I can tell they're paying attention. They're going to start twitching, they're going to start changing their flight paths, which tells me that even if they're not specifically paying attention to me, they're most likely going to move in a way that's going to make it hard to shoot at them, especially since I have no teammates in the immediate vicinity that will allow me to get an easy shot in while they're distracted. So, they can see me. The J-26 is obviously AFK or distracted. He's kind of climbing at a low speed, and he has not reacted to my presence at all. So, two of the enemies crash in the background. I'm going to secure the easy kill, and now I can plan out my next move. I'm thinking about killing the Yak-9 back there. So he circled around behind me, he reacted to my presence, and there's a possibility that he might be interested in pitching up for an energy trap, but then he decides that he's going to dive down after my friendly F4U right there, which means he's most likely going to be distracted at this point. Well, I do have poor handling at high speeds. The 410s do have an air brake, so if I absolutely needed to take the shot on this guy, I could slow down and get the kill. I'm going to check his stat card. He's low level. That gives more credence to the idea that he's going to be a little bit target fixated. But I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to get target fixated and expose myself to his teammates. So rather than follow him down and burn all my energy in a plane that is not very good at maintaining its energy at high speeds, even if it is decent at maintaining its energy in a turn, I'm going to go towards the pack. When you're in a situation like this, you need to thin down the guys quickly, and the Sakine gives me the benefit of turning broadside onto me, and I'm going to take him out. And that's another kill. Now the big mistake right now that a lot of people would make is to dive into the furball in hopes of getting those easy kills. You just got a frag, you go, oh yeah, oh man, I really want to get more, but those guys are going fast, you're going to be going fast, you're going to be compressing, it's low quality shots. So instead, I'm going to turn around, get up to some altitude, and then I'm going to put myself above the Yak-9. Now in this instance, I decide that I'm not going to chase the Yak-9 down. It's too high risk. It's still not going to work if I go after that Yak, because he obviously knows how to basically defend himself against attack, and then I'll be in front of all these guys that I barely outrun or simply don't outrun, and their firepower is going to overpower my gunners. But with the 410, again, the longer I engage, the worse my energy situation is going to become. So I'm going to go after the J-22 now, and as I've said in a previous video, people generally tend to dodge down, and that diving spiral is actually quite predictable once you get the hang of it. So the J-22 tries to use it, but he still goes down. And now, I could try and reclimb and trap the Sakine, but the Yak-9 is coming in, his energy is unknown, so I'm simply going to take the head on. I spray at longer ranges. When that doesn't hit, I'm going to dip back in, and I'm going to connect the shot, because I would rather take the head on against a Yak-9 in this fairly well-armored plane with good guns than be in a 3v1 in which I outturn no one and they massively outpower me. So now I'm going to turn a little bit of my speed back into altitude, and I'm going to survey my options. I have an A6M3 in front of me. I have an IL-2 that's been draining the tickets. I kind of want him gone, but the fighters take higher priority for the moment. So I go head on with the A6M3, repeats the same pattern. I can see that he's only shooting MGs, so I'm going to commit this, and he goes down instantly to the stealth cannon rounds. I like to run stealth on cannons. People have asked, why don't you run stealth on 50 cals? It's because the one-shot potential, especially on the 50 cal stealth belts, is not very high, whereas on cannons with a higher one-shot potential, I want them to stay in the head-on, I don't want them to dodge, and especially since I'm in a plane that is not very good at recommitting, so I'm not able to force the 50 cal recommit strategy. So now I'm going to extend away for a little bit, I'm going to try and get in contact with my P-38 teammate, and then I will turn back in and engage the Sakine. Now, unlike the last two head-ons, I won't manage to kill this guy instantly, which means I'm forced to engage in an actual dogfight. So as I come in, I'm setting up my shot, and somehow I whiff around him, not sure exactly where. Above, below, whatever, I only get a hit, and we go into the merge with both of us pulling nose to nose, which creates a scissors where my aim is to make him overshoot. At least that would be my aim in a normal fighter. In this thing, if I win, I win, but if I lose, I sometimes also win. As he slides in behind me, I'm going to dodge out of the way by rolling the other direction, and then once I go vertical, I'm going to get into the gunner view, and I'm going to land a few hits. You can see it pops an oil leak, and I think that was actually an instant hit on the engine, judging from how he's unable to complete his vertical counterattack. And that's going to let me roll in behind him as he continues to turn into the wrong direction for a moment, which is going to seal his fate. So he's continuing to turn away from me, and now that he's in front of me, he decides to reverse his turn back into me, which seals his fate, and all I have to do is follow him down. The 410's takeoff flaps actually extend out to a fairly high, about 400 km/h speed, and while they do reduce your sustained turn rate, much like many other flaps, they do allow you to convert speed into turn rate a bit faster, which is a big boon on a plane that kind of flies on rails unless you have those flaps out. Now, those last few kills are mostly uninteresting, so I'll quickly show the highlights to you. I really like playing the 410s. They're high up on my stat card, and the reason I enjoy being in these planes is that I enjoy being underestimated. I appreciate that. So with that full commit head-on the Act-9, there is another 9-kill game and an ME-410. I had a few others, but they went unrecorded. I do have a replay of one in this thing's sister, the ME-410 A-1 U2, so if you want to see that video, definitely ask me in the comments and I will provide a link to it. And for courtesy's sake, I'll include the last 7-kill game at the end with no commentary, just so you have more examples of how I play this plane. If you've made it this far, drop me a comment, because I'd love to see it. I've linked my Discord in the description for those who want to join my small community, so have fun, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.